Okay, and maybe you let us know when you're ready.
We're ready.
Hey, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started with the fire advisory meeting on today, October 2nd, 9 o'clock in the morning. Council Supervisor Vicky, sorry about that. Can you lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation and under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, can we do the roll call, please?
So Mayor Roxanne Stevens,
Present.
Supervisor Ignacio Velasquez.
Here.
Supervisor Colin Kosnicki,
Here.
and Mayor Leslie Jordan.
Here. And Councilmember Fields will be out today. Okay, can we have verification of the posting? Second, please. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, thanks for that. And we let's move on to approval of the minutes. Any questions or clarification or changes to our minutes? Not seeing any, so can we get an approval of the minutes, please? Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so let's move on to public input for items not on the agenda. So this is the time for anyone in the audience, both virtual audience and in person, to speak on any item that is not on the agenda and within the subject matter of the jurisdiction of this committee. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to staff before speaking. When the minutes clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the committee. If you are joining by Zoom, please click on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you are joining by Zoom using your cell phone, please press *9. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Please note that the state law prohibits the committee from discussing or taking any action on any item that you have speak of this item.
No public speakers.
Thank you. Let's move on to committee business, move on to the feasibility study discussion. So can we get a report on this one, please?
Good morning. First on the agenda is the update for the fire district feasibility study.
Get some help with that. Let's just pause for a second so we're sure that we're not listening to that. That's the noise. The entire feasibility.
Is that better? Still a little bit. How's that one?
That's good.
Okay. So as a quick recap, in January, the committee recommended awarding the contract to Baker Tilly to conduct feasibility study, with the city of San Juan Bautista serving as a contract administrator. In March, the study was put on hold due to a lack of consensus among the jurisdictions involved. Since then, both San Benito County and San Juan Bautista have entered into fire service agreements with the city of Hollister, effective through mid-2029. So in light of these developments, the committee voted in August to resume the study pending action from the County Board of Supervisors, which on August 12th voted to move forward. So at this point, we've submitted most of our initial requested items. Some of the financial data is still pending, and some of the information from the other jurisdictions. There have been specific follow-up requests that have been sent to Baker Tilly, and Baker Tilly was scheduled to begin analyzing the initial data after the August 29th deadline for the first submissions. They're analyzing the additional data as it came in. With that, I can pass it over to San Juan Batista, who is the facility contractor, Mary Key on the online, as well as Andy Belknap, both from Baker Tilly, that may be able to answer questions through your discussion. So that will turn it over to San Juan Batista.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Good morning, Ashton, City Manager for San Juan Bautista. We are in the process of processing the contract for Baker Tilly. I think there was some question about their official start date, but we are ready to proceed. I believe they've already gotten started, so we can answer any questions you have. I'm sure Baker Tilly can answer any questions.
So any questions for either Ashley or representatives from Baker Tilly? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess it would just be good just to hear kind of the general solution from Baker Tilly and looking forward.
Okay. So we just please represent Baker Tilly, can you introduce yourself and maybe just give a quick update or summary or? I think there's an issue with his audio.
Andy or Mary, either one of you.
I'm sorry.
Barb, thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
So Supervisor Koznicki was just asking that you just give either a quick update, summary, we can talk about some of the work that's you've done thus far, any questions that you have for us, any clarifications that we might need so that we can move forward. So we just wanted to get a sense of where you're at today. Yeah, and then just what do you need to move forward?
Chief, could you repeat the question? I'm having trouble hearing.
Andy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I think the more update from Baker Tilly as far as where you guys are in the process, what it looks like going forward, and any questions you may have back to the committee.
Well, we're looking forward to getting started. We received a lot of information. I'm feedback. We have received information. We're looking forward to started. We want to come right and interviews.
Abby, can I just ask you to pause for a second because we're having some issues with your audio. You're breaking up quite a bit. It's making it difficult to get everything that you're saying. I don't know if there's someone else from Baker Tilly that could speak to this, or if maybe there is, I don't know, something you can do.
Mary is
with your
also,
audio.
Mary Loki is also, maybe she can speak to it.
Hi, Mary Losi. I'm also with Baker Tilly. Oh, I think it's just back in the room.
It's feedback from our microphone. Everybody has to turn their microphones off. All the microphones off.
Can you try that?
Try that
Do
again,
you want
Mary.
to try again? Andy, go ahead.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, we can, but it's not, you're not getting the recording, are you?
It's just muted the volume coming out of that TV, but the audio is still in
Oh, you're
Zoom.
still getting, okay. But the audience, can you guys hear it? They can't hear you.
So you're having trouble hearing me?
We can hear you, but the audience can't hear you. The audience can't hear you. We can hear you through our screens that we have.
Okay, can you try?
Well, I'm not sure what to do about
Okay,
that.
Andy, just give us one moment. We're gonna have our city clerk see if she can figure out a solution really quick.
Should I try calling in?
Just give us a sec, yeah, give us about a minute or so. Let's see what we can do.
Okay.
We have a meeting here. Okay, Andy or Mary, do you guys want to go ahead and give it a try now?
Yes, can you hear me better now?
We just need the volume because I don't believe the audience can hear.
Test, test.
Did you hear that? It does, yeah, it doesn't sound like they can just get a, yeah. Okay, so I'm wondering, Jen, I wonder if we just like have them call in, see if that fixes anything. Should we do that?
What's the best number?
Okay, okay, hold on. Okay, so I'm going to make a suggestion. I'm wondering if we move on to the next item and then come back.
Go ahead and do it again. Speak again.
I think Jen's going to try it. Because if you have it and she has, then it'll be an echo, so let's just do one. Jen. Ignacio, you do two and then go. Okay, Andy or Mary, do you want to just try? Do you want? Oh, do you want them to try again?
No,
Jen?
if you want to go to a different agenda item while we're trying to locate IT right now.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and move on. So Andy and Mary, just please hold on. Appreciate your patience as we try to work on this. We're going to move on to another item and then we'll come back to this one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Stevens,
Mhm.
can I recommend we go to the third item then? Because the second item also has a speaker online to speak to it.
Okay, so we're going to go, thank you for that. I think we're going to go to the third item, which is 7.3. So we're going to discuss the time and bylaw and the bylaw amendments. So that this is really a request to consider a different time for the meeting because of some issues with some of our members being able to make the meeting. We want to make sure that we have as many representatives able to participate in the meeting on a regular basis. So if we can just have a discussion about that. And then this also requires an amendment of our bylaws in order to make any of these changes. So that's why the bylaw amendment is part of the item. Okay, so can I just get any questions, discussions, suggestions from any members of the committee?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Supervisor
what again
Kozmicki.
was the recommended time?
So the recommended time would be later in the afternoon so that especially the City of Hollister's representatives, Councilmember Roland Rosendez, and then our alternate Vice Mayor Rudy Pichet would be able to join us after they're done with work. So 4:30, those would be recommended times for this meeting.
I mean, yeah, I think considering it's, council members certainly have other jobs and they don't always allow for, 9 o'clock meetings, I'd be fine with it. Seems reasonable to me. Otherwise, we're just kind of shutting out portion of the group.
Sure. Mayor Jordan, do you have a?
Yeah, I come from. And that's all I have to say about that. No, I come from either Carmel Valley or the Santa Cruz Mountains, so getting here in the afternoon is difficult for me. So, I mean, this has been the time for forever. Is there another council member? And we have 2 meetings
No.
left in this month.
I mean, I'm generally the only one that has flexibility to make it on a regular basis at 9 o'clock. Councilmember Dolores Morales works in San Jose full-time. Councilmember Priscilla Deanda works at Gavilan College full-time. And so they basically all have that schedule. So either,
Yeah, and so
okay.
does the rest of my council.
yeah,
They're all in meetings during the day and work until 5 o'clock at night or later.
right. Which is, I guess, gives more reason why we probably should consider a later time. Since the majority, I mean, many of us have to have Monday through Friday 8 to 5 jobs and do not have the flexibility. So anyway, but I appreciate your thoughts about this and concerns. Do you have another comment about that, Mayor Jordan? Councilmember Velasquez, Supervisor Velasquez, any comments?
It's a conversation we've had in the past because it's been difficult for most people to make the meetings that we had talked about changing it to 4 o'clock. So people can maybe leave work a little early and still get here for the meeting. So I'm fine with 4 o'clock. Or 4:30 if it has to be.
Okay. So Chief, go ahead.
If I could just weigh in, as you guys are making this decision to think about, if we're pushing past 5 PM, then we lose staff or we're holding staff on overtime. But case in point, the issue that we're having right now, we might not have the support. So 4 o'clock is one thing, but as we start pushing past 5 o'clock, we're keeping people on overtime and we're pushing people, or there's people that may not be here. So I'd like to consider that. And the other thing is we always have the option for special meetings, but if you're going to reconsider, I know we discussed at one point making this a quarterly meeting as opposed to which would align with us trying to give the quarterly updates that we're going to be trying to do to the other jurisdictions. So if you're going to make the bylaws amendment, I might recommend that as well. And then that time parameter of leaving work early, if it is going to be a 4 o'clock meeting, becomes less of a hassle because it's generally only going to be 4 times a year unless we have to have a special meeting that could be then at any time that we set. Just those items for your consideration as you guys discuss this.
Okay, good. Thank you for those comments. Any thoughts about what the chief just said from anyone?
Madam Chair, yeah, I
Go
think
ahead.
quarterly works fine. I think as far as, we got past the fire contract issue that they're going to be working on the feasibility study. It seems like, there's not a lot on the agenda, so quarterly seems like it would be appropriate.
Mayor Jordan?
And I'm fine with quarterly at 9 a.m.
Okay.
For the same issues. I mean, if it's quarterly, people can rearrange their schedule to make a morning meeting just as easily as they can rearrange their schedule to make an evening meeting. And the whole overtime thing for the city of Hollister.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Supervisor Velasquez.
I think quarterly works great because it gives you time to get the information. We talked about the calls and you help us with that as we move forward.
Sure.
So-
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we always have the ability to add a meeting as needed. So I think quarterly would be okay in terms of what's on the bylaws. I still think we need to move to a later time. I think 4 will work. I'm okay with 3:30, but I'm also worried that may also cause some challenges too. But if it's quarterly, it may be less of an issue. I still think that 9 o'clock, even if it's quarterly, will be challenging for most members and as a representative for City of Hollister, I'm just going to speak for City of Hollister.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I would
Supervisor
suggest,
Kozmicki.
since there seems to be disagreement on the time, we might have to continue the item because you're gonna need 4 votes either way.
Okay,
Well, if I could weigh in here, this item's for direction. You don't need any votes today because it would come back regardless with proposed changes. So when you have a full board seated there, the full board can then consider the item or continue it. So really it is your discretion. You can give the direction today with 3
Okay.
out of 4 and that's fine. But because it will come back. But again, your discretion, if you want to continue it, you can do that as well.
okay, good. No, thanks for that reminder. This is our city attorney, Mary Lerner. And I think that with the direction, I think since they would be proposed options, I think we should also include Mayor Jordan's option because we're considering all the options, right? So let's just put all of that in there and then we can vote on it at a later date. If everyone's okay with that, if I can just get like some head nods or, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Chief, is that enough for you to come back with just summary of some of the options? And then also I think include some of both like the concerns that we want to weigh, including the overtime, the possibility of overtime, as well as how this may benefit this discussion.
Yeah, I'll bring that back for the next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Okay, so let me check in and see, do we think that we've addressed the audio issue and go back to the feasibility study item?
We were able to hear Mary well, so I think the issue may have been fixed.
Okay. Okay, so let's get back to Andy and Mary. We're going to ask one of you to speak to the feasibility study item. We're going to go back to item 7.1. And we're just, again, asking for a quick update, summary,
Madam
some
Chair,
like
just for
questions to move on.
procedure, do we need public comment on the item?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for that. Yeah, do we have any public comments for item 7.3? No public comment. Okay, great. Thanks for that reminder, Supervisor Kozmicki. Okay, so now we will go back to 7.1 and ask for either Mary or Andy to speak to that.
Hi, can you hear me better now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Well, we're looking forward to getting started. We have received some of the information. I believe we've got out, and we're looking forward to getting started. We'll be scheduling some in-person interviews so that we can get we can interview people in person. We can see the facilities and get an appreciation for the environment. We haven't done that yet, and then we'll be getting started with that. I believe next month, and then we'll be able to come in person to probably your next meeting with some interim findings. But we're looking forward to getting started. We're just beginning to get started with the project.
Okay, thank you for that. Mary, is there anything that you would like to add to what Andy just said?
No, I believe you covered it. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, okay, thank you for that. So any questions, comments from the committee members?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
ahead,
just
Councilman.
curious. It seemed maybe we lost a little bit of time there. What the expectation is for when this potentially could go to a ballot, whether we have any realistic, what's the possibility as far as getting this to perhaps the November ballot?
November 2026, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Just
November 2026.
real quick before we have Baker Tilly speak to that, we do also have Jennifer Stevenson on. I did speak to her from a LAFCO perspective. Essentially, in order for us to make the November ballot, most likely we would have to have the feasibility study completed and the application into LAFCO by February. And again, Jennifer's on if we have questions for her, but I'll turn it back over to Andy. But based upon my conversation with Jennifer, we would have to more or less be paralleling the LAFCO application with the feasibility study. And then when the feasibility study is completed, if it's completed on time, input the last of the information we need from there in order to get it on LAFCO's agenda in order to get it to where we could be November 2026 ballot. Very tight time frame.
Yeah, and it's a little too soon for me to be able to speak thoughtfully about that, but we will be able to brief you on the timing at either next or the meeting after that.
Okay, thanks. Anything else, Supervisor Kozmicki?
No, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, no questions. Any public item? I'm sorry, public comments for this one, either on Zoom or something? Okay. Okay, so so can I then get either more further discussion or motion from members of the committee?
Do we have anything, does Jennifer Stevenson from LAFCO have anything to add to that?
Nothing, but February is accurate. I would need a full application, combined with a resolution adopted by at least one of the agencies to initiate the application. So whether it's the city, one of the cities or the county, ideally it would be a resolution adopted by all three entities. So that's also something that should be considered at the same time, because I do know drafting those resolutions, in my experience, has been quite time consuming to get agreement from all three entities. I think that's about it, unless you have any questions for me.
Any other questions for Jennifer? No, thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate that clarification. Okay. Any other thoughts, motions?
I don't think there's a motion to be made here. It's just a matter of letting them do their work and present the next meeting.
I do think that we needed a start date, according to Ashley, and do we need to do that on a motion? Did we need a start date or just direction on to just move forward? Did we need a specific start date?
I'm working on clarification with Baker Tilly, but we're good. I received all resolutions from all three jurisdictions to move forward, so we're moving forward. I just need to, it's some information on the contract I need from Baker Tilly. but we're
Okay,
fine.
okay, thanks for that clarification. Okay, so then I guess we are all, there's consensus to go ahead and just move forward with the work, so continue the work that's already been started. Okay, anything else? Okay, thanks, thank you all for that, and then let's move.
Did you open that item to the public
Oh,
as well,
public,
Mayor?
we did do public comment on that one already, yeah. There was
Okay,
no-
just
there was
making
no
sure.
comment, yeah. Item 7.2, fire cost recovery ordinance. So staff recommends finalizing the draft cost recovery ordinance and presenting it to each of the three governing jurisdictions for adoption, establishing the authority to recover eligible emergency response costs from responsible parties. Additionally, staff recommends discussing and giving direction to staff on billing outlined in the new client setup questionnaire to direct how bills would be processed. So can we get a staff report?
Yeah, so as you may recall from the August meeting, the ordinance was intended to establish the authority for Hollister Fire Department to recover eligible emergency response costs from the responsible parties. These incidents would include things like vehicle accident, hazardous materials calls, technical rescue, typically calls that are longer in duration and more equipment and resources. Currently, there are no reimbursements, so regardless of who's responsible, the cost is borne back to the fire department. This ordinance would bring us in line with common regional and national practices authorizing the cost recovery. Fire Recovery USA was identified as a preferred vendor to support the program. We also have Mike Rivera. Make sure, is he still on?
I'm here.
Okay, so we have Mike Rivera from Fire Recovery USA on here to be able to answer some questions. They were selected as our preferred vendor. They do have an integration system that works directly with our records management system, making it easier for us to integrate the cost recovery and less likely for us to miss some of these cost recovery items. To be clear, there's two separate things that have to occur. We have to pass the ordinance on the jurisdictions, preferably all three jurisdictions. So the verbiage on the jurisdiction is directly what we're looking for, and then how that ordinance is applied. So the ordinance just gives us the authority to bill, and then the actual details of the billing, that's through a client survey set up when we initiate our new client survey with Fire Recovery USA, once we already have the authorization of the ordinance. So you have both in your packets today. One is the draft ordinance, which you guys requested me come back with a draft ordinance for you guys to discuss. That would have to go through the whole ordinance process. And then once all three jurisdictions have approved the ordinance, then we would come back, set up our account with Fire Recovery USA and move forward. And that's where those specific details that we were discussing last time about insured motorists, uninsured motorists, county residents, non-county residents, those are two separate items. So we're looking for first direction on the ordinance. And then if you guys would like to discuss the client survey, we can. But the ordinance is the one that's going to be more lengthy, time consuming, because it's got to go through the whole ordinance process in all three jurisdictions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Questions, comments?
I guess I'll make a
Supervisor
comment.
Velasquez, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we had the conversation. And I appreciate the idea. As I said before, we went through this in the past and back and forth with the public and feeling that they're already paying taxes for it all. I do understand the need to capture some of the costs out there, but after the last meeting last, I thought, I think at this point, our focus should really solely be on the regional part that we've been discussing, rather than drifting off into other matters. Because as we're trying to eventually convince the voters to do this program together, when we have all these other items, we're going to start splitting votes. I think the priority is first bringing all jurisdictions together as one fire department. I don't know if this is the right time to be doing it, so I would rather not move forward on this and just stay focused on working together as a regional department.
Okay, thanks for those comments. Other comments, questions?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead,
Yeah, I also
Supervisor
had time to
Kozmicki.
reflect on this and we really didn't have, much time to look at this and consider it last time around. And I agree. I think it's it's adding a lot of complication to the whole program at a time when we're really really needing to focus on the fire district. And I just really had a lot of question marks as far as really how to move forward with this in a way when you get into all these fees that people get charged when, I understand there's insurance involved in some cases there isn't, all these fees that people are getting charged in times of crisis, it just doesn't sit well with me. So I'm going to have to pass on this for now as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Mayor Jordan?
Just to recap, Chief, this is something that all three jurisdictions aren't going after. This is what the fire department would ultimately charge through a program just for recovering of some costs. And this does not include what the county wanted to do with the whole transport.
Yeah, so this is merely cost recovery. And again, the client survey sets up how that actually gets applied. So the ordinance would give us the authority to recover costs. This ordinance only gives us the authority to cover costs for things that are not a crime. So a DUI, something like that, that's a completely separate item. But for general vehicle accidents and those types of things, that was what this would allow us to recover the costs. And if you remember from our last discussion, the discussion surrounded reflected approximately 160,000 a year of reimbursable income that we were projecting. That's based upon Fire Recovery USA's recovery rates and these fees. Excuse me, you would be able to set whether or not it was just going to the insurance companies or if you did go after the individuals directly. Those are all part of that client survey setup. But this is solely for those types of things, vehicle accidents, and there's varying levels of vehicle accidents. The recovery rate, and I'll let Mike if he wants to expand on this, but the recovery rate when there's a hazardous materials involved, i.e. There's fluids leaking on the ground, that increases. If we have to land a helicopter, there's a rate for that. Those are all things that are generally covered under the insurance if the responsible party is insured, generally in most insurance policies at this time. And that was what we were trying to recap or recollect, is the costs that are incurred for the emergency response that is covered in the insurance of somebody's automobile insurance or health insurance or any of those types of things, recoup those costs. So it lessens the burden on the fire department. And again, that's roughly based upon their projections, a 2-year ramp up, getting us to roughly $160,000 that we would recoup back. We also discussed putting that specifically into an enterprise fund. So those funds would be filtered back directly to the fire department, not go back into the City of Hollister's general fund, but specifically back to offset fire department costs.
Thank you. And this is for going after insurance companies, not individuals.
That would be based upon the direction of the client survey when you guys move forward with that portion of it. The first portion is just getting the ordinance that's required to collect the fees, and then how it gets applied is that second step, which you as a group would determine how that gets applied. If we do go after only insurance companies, if we do go after individuals. I know the discussion last time was there seemed to be a desire to go after those that were uninsured because it was a lack of responsibility on them. But how that played out to an insured individual whose insurance company denied the claim, we didn't get to that part of the discussion.
Okay. Okay, and so this is entirely to help offset some of the costs that all 3 jurisdictions are now incurring through, because the City of Hollister, the fire department, is now taking up all of those costs.
Yeah, generally the intent was to recover the cost back to the fire department directly, which would, I mean, $160,000 is a good amount of money. It's not going to offset, our entire budget, but the intent was for the increased cost that's borne to the fire department, offset some of those costs by the collection back, keeping the total cost of fire services lower on general fund budgets.
Okay, thank you.
So to continue with the Center, Mayor Jordan, so if I'm remembering correctly, I believe that this was something that at a previous meeting, we were told people are already paying for in their insurance. Can you correct me if I'm wrong on that one?
Yes.
Yes, I was going to say most insurance policies, there is a rider in there for emergency response. So in your premium, you are paying for it already. If we're not recouping it from the insurance companies, more or less the insurance company is collecting that premium and never having to pay out on it.
Okay. So yeah. I mean, I kind of remember that, and I'm leaning more towards supporting this. And clearly, the devil's always in the details. So we want to make sure that we get the details right so that we're really clear. And thank you for clarifying the issue of if it's a crime, that's a separate situation. That was a discussion that we had with our police chief at our previous city council meeting around how we would deal with some of those situations. So I'm glad that you clarified that is a separate issue, right? That would not be covered through this ordinance. So I think that given our previous discussion about the time, I think this just makes it more clear that we need to have a full body at the table so that we can have a more robust discussion with all the representatives, so that, because right now we may just be split on this and not be able to move forward. So I'm thinking that if this is something that we can put off so that we can have broader discussion with all members of the advisory committee, I think that would be a good idea. So if we can I'm leaning towards putting it off to another meeting, our next quarterly meeting. But I do think that this is not something that we should let go. I think this is something that Hollister Fire Department would benefit for, and with that, all of the jurisdictions would benefit from. So that's just my thoughts about this. Go ahead, Supervisor Velasquez.
I don't think any of us are arguing the recouping costs. We all want to see that happen. My question or my concern is, we're trying to get ourselves to a district. It's going to take a lot of work to get there. And this kind of thing should be probably into that part of the district, because it's going to make more sense as we're talking to the voters. Hey, this is why we need a district. It's going to help save costs and provide better services. These are the items we're including into this. So it's one piece, because when we're going to go out there right now and say, by the way, we're going to charge you if you're in an accident, we understand here that insurance covering it, but there's going to be the back and forth of, it's not my fault, you guys pay for it. It's just going to get mixed up, and it's going to be difficult to get us to that district. The goal is the district. I believe all of us agree with that. And I don't personally want anything mixing into that beforehand that's going to lose momentum, because getting to a district is not going to be an easy thing in the first place. And we have to be all together on that. And I don't want a divided community be based on, and we see this all the time in this community. Certain people want to misrepresent what we're trying to do for their own gains, and they're going to immediately go out there and say, did you know they're going to charge you if you're in an accident? Well, no, we're trying to work with the insurance companies and so on. And it's just going to divide up the opportunity to get the vote of a yes for a district. And that's my concern. In other words, I don't want anything slowing down the district conversation. We're all in agreement now. I want to move forward. And if we can have something in that language in the district that recoups the cost, make sure our CFDs are correct, impact fees are correct across the board, we're going to start to win. I think that's kind of our issues right now. You're talking about, we can collect costs on, DUIs and all these things now for things that are illegal activities right now, or we
No.
can't do that.
That's a separate ordinance.
Okay.
That we'd have to, I know like the city of Hollister is at this next council meeting bringing forward a separate ordinance to try and collect those things, but they are two separate ordinances.
Right. And I think the public on something like that are going to be more understanding, and that could be a separate issue. And I think we do work on something like that, but adding this other piece to it right now, I don't think is a wise thing to do until we get through the district conversation.
If I could respond just real quick.
Go ahead, Chief.
I understand your sentiment. I view it from almost the opposite. If we're putting, living in the community and we're bringing forward an ordinance to do a fire district, which is most likely going to cause an increase in taxation to me. I look at it as, I want to know in this case that the fire district or the entity trying to get the fire district is pursuing all avenues of funding that doesn't hit me directly, i.e. the insurance companies of the people that caused the accident, which granted not by a dramatic amount, but it is reducing the amount of burden that would be coming on me ahead of all that. So kind of a similar thought to what you're thinking, but I look at it as more of a selling point of, we are pursuing all other avenues of funding the department by charging the cost through recovery options to the people that are utilizing it. And it's just my portion to ensure that insurance for my housing protection is in fact there. So not drastically different than yours, but I think a different perspective there. And I do want to, I do also want to say, if we have questions that speak to experience of those types of things, we can always defer to Mike, who's on the line. If he's experienced any of these types of things, he might be able to speak to some of your concerns now while we have him here.
Thank you. One more quick comment, man. I think we agree. What I'm saying is, from past experience, the last time we went through this, I was surprised at how quickly people were out misinforming the public. And I know that's going to happen again. And I'm concerned because the goal is the district. That's the goal. Let's get to the district. And in that goal, we say the district is going to charge for these types of accidents, of those people are being reckless and so on, to try to recoup some of the dollars. At the same time, providing better service by us jointly working together as a district. So we're on the same page. Again, I've been there on this exact conversation, and I was really surprised at how quickly people wanted to muddy that up. And I don't want anything to get in the way of the goal of the district. That's all I'm saying.
Madam Chair.
Sure, go ahead, Mayor
Sorry,
Jordan. Go ahead.
I'm with you, putting it off until the next
Okay.
meeting.
And thank you for that. And then just to speak to Supervisor Velasquez. So here's what this is my perspective as kind of the newest person on this committee. And I think that although we want to keep those concerns of what happened in the past in the forefront of our minds as we're moving forward with I agree with your sentiment about the priority is the district, is the fire district. I think we probably could all agree that that is our priority as we move forward. I think the difference is that as we move forward, if we move forward as a united body, I think there may be a different response from our public. There will always be those people that are going to disagree with any issue. However, we can continue to just convey a commitment of unity towards a fire district. I think that will help with some of those concerns. So I'm thinking that let's just like kind of let's just split this up. Like let's not we're not going to obviously be able to make a decision today because we will be split. So I think we just put this off, and obviously that's part of what Supervisor Velasquez and Supervisor Kosmicki are asking to do as we focus on the district, but not take it off completely our radar. I also think that this is an important item for us to discuss with the full body, because I would like to have the other representative, the city of Hollister, to be here to engage in this discussion as well.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Supervisor Kosmicki.
So you talked about the vehicle accidents in particular. Does the $160,000 only encompass recovery of vehicle accident incidents? Because the Exhibit A includes a whole range of other response costs, mitigation costs, including extrication, landing zone.
So extrication, that's associated with the vehicle accident.
Fires, illegal fires, I think was in there. Water incidents. It's not just vehicle accidents is what I'm getting at.
Yes, you are correct. And I might defer to Mike, but what
I'm getting at is when we talk about going after the insurance companies, I think that's a misnomer, first of all, because the insurance, you are paying for your insurance, and the insurance company is going to recover their costs one way or the other, whether it's increasing your rates eventually or whatnot. But if we're also not just talking about vehicle accident insurance. We're talking about a range of responses to get to that $160,000, which is roughly 1% of the fire department budget.
Yeah. So again, I forwarded all of our 2024 call volume to Mike. Mike then ran an analysis of our calls, and based upon their recovery rate percentages and these fees, that's where I got that 160. But I would defer to Mike to be able to speak specifically. You have a whole list of calls in there that are not necessarily where we got to the 160,000. They are just a client setup of what the fees would be if you were to collect on those items.
But if somebody's extricated, for instance, before you respond, if I may, if somebody's extricated, for instance, from a vehicle, they've just experienced a life-changing traumatic event, potentially going to be in the hospital, or it could be a fatality, and it could be their child that was extricated, or some child could witness their parent dying in an accident. The child's being extricated, and there's this $1,859 charge, and you're telling me the insurance company is going to cover all that?
It's getting sent to the insurance company. Whether or not the insurance company pays and we decide to bill the individual afterwards is at the purview of the group.
But is that recovery being included in the $160,000 estimate?
Based upon a percentage of the calls that we had, yes.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm not going to support this.
The $160,000 is based on insurance billing, and there's no cost whatsoever to the insured.
Yeah, we've all been involved with insurance companies. I don't buy that. You're gonna pay for it one way or the other.
Okay. I mean, okay. So I appreciate that sentiment, and certainly we'll keep that in mind, right? And I think this is part of the very healthy debate that we need to have about this issue. It's not an easy issue, and there's going to be details that have to be ironed out. But I do think that I think that today we're not going to be able to make a decision because we were just going to be split. So I think I want to just put this off for maybe a quarter and then bring it back. By then, we will have had some discussion or some updates from Baker Tilly about the feasibility study. Then we can just make a decision, hopefully with a full body, make a decision about how to move forward with this item. I just think that it requires a little more thought and consideration because I think some of the concerns could be addressed in the details of the ordinances of the ordinances from the jurisdictions. So that's my thought about this.
One more quick
Mayor
question.
Jordan, go ahead.
This is irrespective of the feasibility study. This is ancillary, and the City of Hollister and the fire department are just trying to recoup some fees. This has no bearing on us moving forward with the feasibility study.
Yeah, they're two separate items.
Thank you.
I mean, they're two separate items. However, they are things that we have to work on. So we want to make sure that we prioritize. I think clearly the priority has to be the district, but I also think that this is an important thing. And I'm just going to speak as a representative of the City of Hollister. City of Hollister ultimately will needs to oversee spending and revenue related to any fire related activity. So I just think that it's important that we don't just put this issue aside. I think we want to consider every way that we can recoup those costs. So let's put this off, mull it over more, think about some of the details of an ordinance that could make it satisfactory for all jurisdictions, but also keeping in mind that we want to prioritize the feasibility study so that we can move forward with the district. Okay, so I'm not sure, Mary, City Attorney Mary, can you speak to how we can move forward with that? And is it okay to just make a decision about putting this off for about a quarter?
Yeah, you can just get consensus to put this off for a quarter and have the chief bring it back.
Okay.
And then also opening it up to the public before you do that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
No public comment. Okay. Okay. So, I'd like to just move this forward for about a quarter. And can I just get some head nods or thumbs up or thumbs down, whether you are okay with that?
I'm okay with going forward.
For further discussion. Okay. Supervisor Velasquez, you okay with just, okay. Okay, so let's put this off for about a quarter. Hopefully in the meantime, we will have some changes to the time and then we can maybe have a full body for this discussion. Okay, thank you all for that robust debate. I appreciate it. It's an important topic and it's good to have all perspectives considered. And so we'll keep that conversation going. Okay, so we're going to move on to committee reports. Any reports from members of the committee? No? Okay. Chief, do you have, Supervisor Velasquez? No. Okay. Chief, do you have a report for us? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I'd like to start off by sharing that ahead of this December, where Hollister Fire celebrates 150 years, we'll be kicking off our celebration this month. The celebration is going to be on October 18th from 2 to 6. It's going to start with a parade from Dunn Park to Fire Station 1, followed by a brief ceremony with our personnel, and then an open house. So I encourage all of you guys to attend. The next thing on the operational side, I want to give you a brief update on our records management system. We continue to make good progress with the implementation, and we're continuing to roll out more features. They're coming online. And so specifically Supervisor Velasquez, when you were talking about some of those things like the heat maps, we're beginning to get to the point where we can start producing some of those things. So if and when we move to the quarterly meetings, it'll be easier for me to come in with a little bit more substantial report. We are still integrating that stuff, so we're not quite there yet, but more items are coming online for that. So that's definitely a positive thing. from the fire prevention world, the city of Hollister, our fire codes were submitted and approved by the state. So our new fire code has been implemented. We're working through the process with both San Juan Bautista and the county, and we're hoping to get those implemented. Just for clarity, because there was a new law passed saying that they had to be in before October 1st and be approved. And in both of those two jurisdictions, we have not done that yet. However, the new law requires that approval in order to make different amendments than what you currently have. So in both jurisdictions, San Juan Bautista and the county, our amendments are exactly what's already in place. So we're not subject to that. So as long as we submit the same stuff before the end of the year and go into effect, we're still good to go. But we are coordinating in those two other jurisdictions, and I believe we're on track here shortly to get those across the finish line. There was just questions in both of those two jurisdictions, but Hollister, we're done and move forward. They were approved, and we're pushing the exact same thing through in the other two jurisdictions. So we shouldn't have any problems getting our fire codes adopted there. Last thing I just want to remind everybody is we are still bi-monthly, not quarterly yet. So our next meeting will be in December. So we'll come back, I believe it's December 6th at 9 o'clock is when our next regularly scheduled meeting is. That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay, I'm going to just check in with you with that. I just want to check in with members of the committee. Do we feel like we need to call a special, or is everybody okay with waiting the 2 months for the next meeting? Is there a need to call a special?
We're
Whoa.
done.
What do you think?
Will Baker Tilly have anything to report before the December meeting? Did they leave? No, they're still there. Hey, Andy.
I think we probably will be in a position to have a pretty robust report by December 6th. So I think that's probably good timing.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Supervisor Kozmicki and Velasquez, are you guys okay? Do you think we need a special for next week?
No.
Okay. Okay, thanks for that. So our next meeting will be December 6th. Anything else, Chief?
Madam Chair, it's actually December
4th. December 4th. Okay, thanks for that. That's why we have people helping us here. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Just, if I could ask the chief a couple questions.
Sure.
And I'm happy to hear about the report you're going to be bringing. I thought that was really what made this committee work well. So we had a better understanding of fires and automobile crashes or medical. So we got to see our hot spots, as you pointed out. Really looking forward to that. Very important. And looking forward to Dover coming back out and talking about the condition of all the
Apparatus. Yes.
out there. That was very important. Maybe he doesn't have to do it every quarter, maybe every 6 months. He would give such great reports on that. Looking forward to that. You talked about the city of Hollister upgrading their fire codes. I'm curious on, at the county level, we're changing the code to all new housing has to meet the new fire standards in fire zones. Forgot what it's called.
Yeah, that's under chapter 7A of the fire code.
I forgot the name of.
That's the fire hazard severity zones.
Yeah, do you remember the name of that? So we're going to require all new construction to meet those codes. And I know there's some pushback as we're not in a fire zone here or there, but we're pretty much changing it so all new construction has to meet it. Wondering if City of Hollister is going to be following that, because some of the fire zones actually the City of Hollister was in, right off of Fairview, which I was kind of surprised about.
Well, I'll just speak for the City of Hollister. And we have not, but I don't know. We can speak about that offline, Chief.
Yeah. So
We can speak with
any code adoptions any new code adoptions that have not been submitted as of September 30th has a 6-year moratorium on. You cannot upgrade any of the codes at that point. It was a law that was passed. I forget the exact law, but it was passed that restricted the codes. You cannot make any new amendments, and that was what I was speaking to. So the amendments that we're proposing from the fire side of things are the exact same. The only difference between our last set of codes and this one, the amendments, are the state of California has adopted some of our amendments into the actual code. And so we have less amendments because they're already part of the code. But any consideration for changes to the code, if they weren't already submitted to the state, having gone through the public hearing and all that, it's 6 years, we cannot make any adjustments.
Yeah, and I don't think it was changes to the code. It was meeting certain requirements. So maybe you can talk to our planning department, figure.
Yeah, so
what
that would be your
was.
building.
Yeah,
That would fall within
Speak with
their
Abraham.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I just want to, it just made so much more sense to be at that higher standard because of the fire zones and maps we just got from CAL FIRE that showed even the city of Hollister was in some of those zones. So I just want to.
Yeah, in some of those moderate areas.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'm wondering if this could even be like a future agenda item, maybe at some point, if needed. I don't know, maybe something that for you to consider, maybe not,
I'm
maybe.
okay with it. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
we Have that conversation.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for that question and comment. Anything else, Chief? Okay. Okay, so then I think we're at the future agenda item section. Do we have any future agenda items that we want to just mention today? Okay, nothing. Okay, good. We have lots that we're working on, so that's good. So I'm going to call for an adjournment